Hey guys, it's Rodney, and for today's plant rant, we are talking about aloe vera. Aloe vera is such an easy plant to grow, and it is so incredibly helpful to have around the garden. If you didn't know, aloe vera is basically in the cactus and succulent family, so you want to think about your soil as a cactus and succulent soil. I've made a mix here with a potting soil, and then I've added things like perlite and expanded shale to it. I also have some coconut coir mixed in there that'll help retain just a little bit of moisture but not keep the soil too wet. The expanded shale is going to help add drainage value and help oxygen remain in our soils. We've started this guy as a 4-inch pot, and it is now in an 8-inch pot here, but it is going to be in here for probably another year at least. Aloe veras can also spread by the root or creating what we call colonies, so they are going to create some small pups around the base. When those pups are large enough, you can also break those off. They're going to have a little bit of a root system in the soil, repot those, and have a whole new plant ready to go. So let's talk a little bit about its sunshade conditions. So the aloe vera is going to like full sun. That means somewhere around 4 to 5 hours in our central Texas area. Any more sun can get a little bit of sunburnt, so you do want to be cautious or aware of that. I have mine in an area where it's going to get a lot of morning sun, so it gets about 5 hours of morning sun, and then gets a little bit of shade in the hottest part of the day in the afternoon. If it were in the ground, I would put it in a similar location, somewhere where it can get a lot of morning sun and then some shade in the afternoon. If you are further north, you are going to want it to get that afternoon sun because your sun's not going to be as intense as our Texas sun is. Water-wise, they are going to be super drought tolerant. They don't like a lot of water. I typically do not water mine very often. This guy gets water about once a week right now. It is peak summertime here in Texas for us, but you will notice that on each of the fronds here, or the leaves, you're going to notice some kind of wrinkling like a wet finger. That's going to give you the indication that it is ready for some water. Aloe veras can survive indoors. They are going to need a really bright windowsill though. Any direct sun through glass can act like a magnifying glass, so it can intensify the sun, so do be cautious of burning. But when you have them indoors, make sure they're in a slightly smaller pot where that soil is not going to stay too wet on you. It is going to be really important to have really good drainage if you are going to try it indoors. I do encourage people when planting them indoors to try to bring them outside on nice sunny days or nice warm days, or for extended periods of time when possible. Aloe veras can be cold sensitive, so we do tend to protect ours when the temperatures get around or below that 40 degrees Fahrenheit mark. Since our central Texas winters can be a little bit sporadic with the temperature, we do typically keep it indoors all winter long, typically from November to about February or March depending on the weather. Aloe vera is also super easy to harvest. All you really have to do is have a nice sharp blade or a good set of pruners, and you're able to cut off the leaf as you need it. So if I were to prune one of these leaves, I'm going to do this guy here. I'm going to just give it a cut as close to the base as I can possibly get it, and I've got a nice fresh cut and a ton of aloe vera here to use. Aloe vera has a ton of beneficial properties. Most commonly, we know it for things like burns and small wounds and anti-inflammatory properties. But aloe vera can also help with things like dental plaque, canker sores, and constipation. Often we see a lot of our skincare products containing aloe because aloe is really great for skincare. So a lot of folks use it in their lotions or skincare routine to help with things like wrinkles and keeping the skin nice and bright and smooth. Prepping aloe vera is really easy. All you have to do is remove this outer skin to expose this kind of clear gel-like substance in the center. Once that outer layer of skin is removed, you're kind of left with this kind of gel-like substance. You can do things like throw this in a blender. As always though, just like any fruit and vegetable, I would definitely rinse before use. Because a little bit of aloe goes a long ways, harvesting can often yield a lot more than you actually need. So let's talk a little bit about storage. If you're gonna harvest and use today, you could really just leave these branches as they are on the counter for 3 to 4 hours and they'd still be good. If you're going to prep this or harvest, a couple of days in advance, I would suggest putting these guys in a plastic bag, and they're good in the fridge for probably about 3 to 5 days. Another great method for long-term storage would be to put these guys in a freezer-safe bag, and then you can keep it in your freezer for about 6 to 8 months. So if you don't have an aloe vera plant around the house, I would definitely suggest jumping over to miltonsplants.com to check it out. I'll also include a link here on the screen, but aloe vera is so helpful. So go get you an aloe vera, get it prepped, get it harvested, make yourself, I don't know, a lotion or a smoothie.